TieCon Booth, as well as on Facebook, whoever is watching. Thank you for joining me at the booth. These are amazing times. These are also dire times. And the reason I say this is because COVID has caused an unusual situation here. And the reason it's unusual is nothing is normal. The way we work, the way we are interacting with each other, the way we have a social life, oh my God, everything has changed. What is exciting about this? If you listen to the keynote interview of Rob Bernstein, CEO of Coupa yesterday, he says this is the most exciting time. So what I'm thinking is this is an exciting time for innovators. A lot of things which people were thinking about, they were doubting, that it's going to happen, is actually happening. It's actually happening. A lot of innovation is getting pushed. So I'm thinking, what do you and I, we are innovators. We work for corporations, but we're not satisfied. We want to do something more. We are students. We have not yet graduated, but we want to take on the world. We are educators. We teach people, we teach students, and we want to come up with innovative ways of not only just teaching curriculum, but outside the box thinking. We want every student who comes to our university or class to graduate as a very fine innovator. What I've been hearing in academic institutions, top-notch academic institutions today at Stanford or MIT or Yale or Harvard, is every student should go through an entrepreneurship journey. They should build something on their own and try to sell it, whether it's in your lemonade stand, or whether you're trying to sell cookies as a high schooler, or you're building a face shield for COVID. Every student, every corporate professional, every one of us has to go through an entrepreneurial journey. But entrepreneurship is made to sound pretty dire. It's made to sound pretty intimidating. If you look at how people get funded, how 9 out of 10 startups are failing, we would think, I want to go to this amazing quote by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." And what people today are doing is they're jumping into entrepreneurship without much planning. They're going all intuition, all passion. They're not planning. So when it comes to Steve Jobs' message, they're hungry because they run out of cash, and they're foolish because they make the same mistakes which people before them made, and they will go out of business. So 9 out of 10 startups are failing. This was enough premise for me and my co-author from Harvard Business School. She advises governments like Russian Federation, Estonia, and I have also had the fortune of working with her, and we have worked for government of Lithuania. We have advised a lot of megapreneurs, mega entrepreneurs there in the Europe. And what we felt was, I'm sorry for the small interruptions. People are joining my call here on Zoom and Facebook. Welcome to all the attendees here. So what I was telling was, I had the fortune of advising the European government, and what I felt was those people are ready for advice. When they want to build a new product, like I said, every one of us should build it, whether you're a student or you're a corporate professional, whether you're a teacher, you should build something and deploy it and see whether people will pay money for it. And what Steve Jobs said was, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." But look at him. He knew every market rate of every bit of the product he was building. He knew exactly where to beat his competitor. He knew exactly how to make his product usable. I always take this example. This phone was built for children. It is touch screen. Any child can scribble on it. Today, a billionaire also uses it. A child also uses it. Look at the product he built. A child can draw on this. Today, my daughter attends Zoom class on a tablet or a phone. So he knew his product very well. He knew his customer very well. Do you know it? I said every one of us should build something and deploy it. Do you know it? Now, what's happening during the COVID times? Let's get to COVID times. I had the fortune of attending, informal sessions with an investor in Silicon Valley. His name is B.V. Jagdish, and he has this 10-point filter. This could very well be your startup pitch deck. when you say you want to build something new and deploy it, have you really thought about the market size? Have you really thought in this space, a lot of people are operating. Why should I be operating in this space? Is this space new at all? You know, have you stayed up to date with the latest trends? Are you thinking about 6G? People are talking about 5G. Do you know there is a 6G being innovated somewhere out there? There is a university which is working on that. So do you have a plan to market? You know, I have to tell you this. When I author, okay, there are a lot of attendees joining. Please pardon me for the small interruptions. You'll have to bear with this. Thank you so much for joining this session. I really appreciate it. So when I say, do you have a plan for marketing? Let me give you my own example. Nothing better than your own example, right? So when I wrote my first book, everybody said, "Wow, you're such an amazing speaker. You're filtering insights from these billionaires, megapreneurs, innovators, startup founders. You must write a book. You must write a book." I said, "Okay." Every other day, people were hammering me. This is such a fantastic speech. You must write a book. I said, "Fine, I will write a book." But I did not know what it is to write a book. I did not know there were people who book their workshops first and then write the book. They have given up a paycheck because they got money from a workshop. Now, when you are building a product, do you have a marketing strategy in place? So these are the questions which I learned the hard way. When I quit my first job, I just had a very fixed income and I had this passion to write a book and I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to teach people. I was passionate about teaching. But when I met a very seasoned entrepreneur who was coaching startups, he said, "You're so passionate, you're not thinking straight, you're obsessed with your idea. Please come up with a marketing strategy. Give me a plan how you will sell the book." He said, "Heck, why is it your book then different than any other motivational book out there?" I did not have an answer, but I still went and wrote it because I was so passionate about my idea. So guess what? For my second book, even before my pen touched the paper, before I started typing the first word, I had a campaign out. I was funded only when 150 copies sold, of my first book. All right, now I'm going to start writing because I'm compromising on my paycheck and I'm doing this. I better have a marketing strategy in place. We had so many workshops booked. I was teaching, I was making a small fee already, and then I started writing the book. So this is my second book. The reason I'm quoting my own example is, my personal journey is very important because it gives me lessons which I can follow. If I'm talking about somebody else's journey, that's fine. It's wisdom. For me, this is experience. That makes me, puts me in a very good position to coach startups, to coach government projects, to coach students. Today, when I talk to students in engineering colleges or fresh grads from Stanford and they want to, roll out a startup, I know exactly what you're going through. So, this is typically how we showcase, our idea validation in the book. This is my book, the solution book. I've co-authored with my, a fellow employee from, she's from Harvard Business School. We work together at a Stanford startup. So basically, when you do a startup, you're generating new ideas. What is missing is you think you have an idea, you build it very fast, and you want to pitch to a VC. The middle due diligence steps are missing. Have you analyzed and evaluated the ideas? How good is your idea? How strong is your idea? When you get into the battlefield, are you going to get beaten up in 10 different ways? So we basically beat up your idea in this book, the solution book. And this is for high schoolers. I had very clearly envisioned this is a no time waster. We have tried and tested everything here in this book, the solution book. Everything is one page, no time waste. You open the book, first page is like, what is your problem? This is the solution, step one. We are not going to give you lots of case studies because a lot of organizations use it, Deloitte, McKinsey, you name it, Stanford, design thinking schools. I'm advising a lot of engineering colleges and incubators and accelerators. That's where all this gyan is given to people. And, what exactly do we provide in the book? What is missing? Why do 9 out of 10 startups fail? How can we reverse it? This has become like a mission for us. Enter at that time, I started interacting with a team from MIT Media Lab. I think some of them are still on the call here today. So we learned a lot of templates. Very quickly they deployed solutions at this high-tech Kumbh Mela. And what they did was they used templates, guiding templates. What they do is, these are due diligence templates. You come in as a builder, you're building something, but then you have other angles to consider. This is my angle, I'm a builder. Let's say the customer wants to use this. What is their angle? There is an investor who wants to put money in this. He has fixed time, he has fixed cash, he has so much time he can dedicate to you. What is his angle? So this experience of, they did a high-tech Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela, a lot of people are dying in the stampede. There is a lot of infectious diseases problem. It's pretty unhygienic the way it's done. Can we make it a very high-tech, smart Kumbh Mela? What kind of food deployment facilities do you need? How do you manage the crowd? They use cell phone towers to manage crowds. They used heat maps. This is truly amazing. They used a lot of AI solutions. So what I felt was, okay, they're not going into this blind. They did 2 years of planning. Basically, it was a series of hackathons. They identified the top problems. If you say it is the most burning problem, that's not enough. There should be 100 other people in the Kumbh Mela who think that it is the most burning problem. Let's say I want to, I'm obsessed with the idea. I want to deploy food in Kumbh Mela to everyone. I want to make sure nobody's hungry. All right, great. What about shelter? What about sanitization? What about crowd traffic deployment? They built amazing solutions. And then I said, wow, this is working. It works for a community. There is something they're doing right. A lot of these solutions at Kumbh Mela, they became startups. They got funded by the government. A lot of non-profit, corporate social CSR initiatives, they took up these projects. They funded the projects. Now, this is a very simple 5-point filter you need to use to validate your startup idea. I did run through this 10-point filter. This 10-point filter is very important. This should be a part of your startup pitch deck. Yesterday, a lot of students came to my booth and they said, ma'am, I did not have a traction slide. How do I create a traction slide? So this is, engineering colleges in India, but then here in the US, I'm working with some accelerators. They kind of know how to create a total area market assessment. Let's say you want to build something for home delivery or grocery delivery in India, then how do you partition your market? Let's say there are so many billion people who are living in India. Out of them, only let's say so many million people can afford a home delivery of grocery solution. In that, how many people are already offering home delivery of grocery solution? In that, how many people have access to a proper deployment chain, supply chain? So these questions, when you start asking, you can kind of able to assess how big your market is. So this is a 5-point filter. We have lots of tools like that in Solution Book for high schoolers. This is for high schoolers, but a lot of startup founders in India are using, music entrepreneurs are asking me, can I use this template for this? And these can be used for your engineering college project, your graduate school project, your PhD project. A lot of templates in the book are being used by NASA. NASA does mission critical project. If your satellite fails, your astronaut dies. So they have really, really foolproof template to a checklist for them to validate their ideas. So we got templates from there. We talked about defense research. Defense research is pretty solid. Defense and NASA, they do mission critical projects. Can you make your startup idea mission critical proof? And if you are a high schooler, we want to enable you. If you are a teacher who's teaching entrepreneurship, we want to enable you. If you're a parent who's building something with your child, we want to enable you. Of course, I'm already enabling incubators and accelerators and startups. It's already happening, but I wanted to reach out to the people who are, losing out on many opportunities because they put their head, they put their heart and soul in a startup. Let's make your startup ideas foolproof. Even if you're participating in a hackathon, let's say you're at Intel or let's say you're at Google or Facebook, I want to make sure your hackathon idea is foolproof. Now, this is used a lot in developing countries, opportunity valuation canvas. My colleague, they developed a chatbot here. She's from Estonia. It's an AI first country. AI first country, everybody is digitally mapped. Your genome is digitally mapped. Your ID is digitally mapped. You can start a company in 5 minutes. You do your taxes in 3 minutes. That's like, wow, the dream world, right? If there is a pandemic, your contact traced in like 2 minutes. Your government knows exactly where the food supply should go, mask supply should go, how many nurses are needed here. what is the estimate of vaccines, COVID vaccines in the next 6 months. They know everything because everything is digitally mapped. They're pretty solid. But we are talking about like a far first world country. They use chatbots for validating your startup idea. So let's not go there. Let you and I, we are simple people. We have limitations in access. At least when I'm sitting with my team, we have 4 different ideas. Let's have a scientific way of evaluating which idea is good. Yeah, like we said, we'll quit our jobs, we're going to do a startup, or we're going to submit this idea to this Google hackathon. We want to apply to United Nations. We want to improve infectious disease problems in Africa. Whatever it is, at least do this basic due diligence. I know you're passionate. I know you really want to get through to this, but you need to have some sort of due diligence. So the solution book has so many ways to do this. We think, for example, a homemaker used this for evaluating a decision to buy a home with her husband. They have a debate. I want to buy a home here. These are all my criteria. So basically, here you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 criteria, right? This is for your startup idea. You're talking about MVP, your initial customer traction. What this book says is you can use this for any project, home renovation project, looking for a job project, making a career change project. Change these 5 parameters and evaluate their ideas. It is as simple as that. Most people don't do it. And a lot of my friends who've gotten into this habit, they have a team of friends who make this decision. Which country or county is better to live? Where should I move? What kind of job switch or career switch is better? They have evaluation schemes, and it really works. It covers all your blind spots. You are limited by your experience, your qualification, or whatever environment you've grown up in. But when you do this, you bring so many more perspectives to your own. And then, we're human beings. We operate using math. So scoring an idea is great. But if you go to some very high-tech CEOs, they do all this scoring. They still go with their experience and gut feeling. That is fine. When you made a decision, you at least know you tried everything else, it did not work, and you went with a decision which you felt was right. Now, this is what I feel is probably missing in most startups who are building solutions. They are not understanding what the customer wants. So out of 9 out of 10 startups which fail, 50% are failing because they lack product market fit. Okay, product market fit means your customer wants something else, you're building something else. It's not matching. So when you go and serve your product to your customer, he says, dude, I don't want this. So I give this example a lot. I work for a Stanford firm. I'm advising them, I'm consulting with them. They build something for busy doctors, and they have a really complicated interface. So it was not working. And then we identified it. How did we identify it? It's pretty complicated to identify a doctor's workflow. We use this tool. It's a very simple tool. It's called a journey map. You go sit with 50 of your customers at least, and before you put your money down on something, at least 50 customers you have to sit with, putting a lot of money on something. And then what you do is you just map it. You map the actions of your customers step by step, as many as you can, and then you state the emotion level. What does a customer feel when I put a button here? What does the customer feel when I add 10 more steps in this particular interaction? You're doing last mile delivery. Let's say you make a payment a very, very complicated interaction. Let's say your groceries there, they made it. They came to your home, they got the most unique product, but you made payment very, very complicated. Your payment process takes 15 minutes. Then your product is not going to sell. So customer journey map is very important. But why I bring this example is because this is Shashi Jain. He's a great friend, but also he works for Intel. He deployed these face shield masks. Okay, he's doing this in Portland in Oregon. And I have another friend here. His name is Harish Kadagin. He is in Hubli. He works for Deshpande Startups. Okay, both of them deployed a face shield, and their product design, the cost of the product they built, and these guys are like my heroes today. If you call anybody a hero, these are my heroes, because within 2 weeks they deployed 100,000 face masks. All right, and if you talk to them, You think they're passionate people. Honestly, that's just 10% of their personality. 90% they're pretty analytical. They know the cost of each and every every part they built. This is like 1 rupee. This is like 10 cents. This is like $5. The total cost is like $3. And these are all my shipping locations. These are all my builders. So this is pretty well laid out. It's an amazing planning, amazing discipline of innovation. So Hubli, right? This is frugal innovation. They wanted to target the people. They wanted them to become comfortable interacting with each other, just go out. But if you look at this same innovation built, this is a high grade 3D printing, effort, and these people are producing hospital grade face shields. Hospital grade face shields are pretty mission critical. You're dealing with hospitals, you're dealing with patients. They could have COVID, and you're testing them. You're taking their saliva test, nasal samples. You're injecting them with something. You're putting them on ventilators. You better be super duper sure how you're building these masks. So what kind of innovation does he need? Now all this is very, very easy to build if you know your customer well. Now some of the templates in our book which we use, is customer interview. Like, just go interview your customer. Here the customer is a nurse practitioner or doctor. They are using face masks. Ask them what is their pain point. If a surgeon has got a very uncomfortable mask, he's going to find it hard to wear the mask and do surgery. So please ask your customer, what kind of face shield shape would you like? There are face shields which go all the way up to your shoulder. They cover your entire torso. That is very good. If you're working in you're cleaning something, you're in janitorial services. It's a pretty hard job to do. Being a janitor, you're cleaning the dirt. What kind of face shield will you need? So these questions are done in customer discovery, which is missing right now in those 9 out of 10 startups that are failing. And what's happening in COVID is they're pivoting. They're not the same startup anymore. Their customer has changed, their product has changed, their service has changed, everything has changed. Now, I want to take another example. We have Rishabh here on the call. He's one of the mentors here. These guys, they built a solution for noise cancellation. There's a girl who studies in an engineering college here in India, and she's bothered by the noise. She's worried about the patients. During a stampede, a religious festival, a lot of people are getting disturbed by the noise. What can you do without breaking something to solve this noise problem? They designed a noise cancellation device, but guess what? Before that, they did a lot of research. They interviewed a lot of people, and they had this entire framework, problem canvas, where they're defining the problem. They're defining what product they're building. 90% of the startup founders don't know what problem they're working on. They will know at the end of 6 months, oh, this is what I was building. Actually, I'm not building a phone app. I'm actually building something which runs in the back end. This is where I should put my money on. So this thing we're teaching the students, using templates in this book, we're teaching them ahead of time. Don't go there and build something and fail and realize it. Slow down a little bit initially so that, your likelihood of success increases. So these are all communication tools, For example, we use something called as cartoon story. We map the customer's actions during the day, or we map your engineer who's building it, his actions during the day. Just like a small story, it's very simple. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And then we ask people to comment on it. Cartoon story can be used in many different ways. I use it when I talk to kids who are confused about their career. Cartoon story, today you're here, tomorrow you want to be here, this is what you're doing, this is what you need to do. Do you think you'll be comfortable doing a PhD, or are you comfortable in a startup if it fails? Do you have the funds to do it? It's all a story. You can use this in so many different ways. Cartoon story is a very good tool which we use, for students and teachers to warm up. Let's say you're sitting first time with a new teacher, students don't know each other. We use this amazing tool to warm up. So this is again mentioned in our book, but we use this as a tool for due diligence, even when we are enabling people to build products. So what I wanted to say was, this is another skill, how to get customer interviews. How do you talk to your customer? We have a template for that. You can't just call someone and just say, hey, I'm building this product, can you help me? No, you can't do that. So there are three phases to customer exploration, customer discovery. One is what you do behind the scenes in your office with your team, with your friend, or what with your let's say you're a parent, you're helping a child with your child inside the house. What do you do? Then there is something you talk to the customer when you go meet him for the first time, and then there's something you do after you come back. So Steve Blank has this amazing idea that all your innovation is happening outside. Leave the building, go talk to people, then you'll be like a super duper innovator. Your startup has very less likelihood of failing. So that's one of the things I wanted to showcase. There are some tools we use. Let's say we get 50 customer interviews. There are 50 different versions of what needs to be built. How do you combine them? Delphi method is one of them. There is also Minto pyramid method. So let me clarify this. These are not going to make you successful just by using them. These are communication tools. I'll tell you why communication tools are important. I get 5 minutes with my CEO. He's a surgeon. He's a professor at Stanford. I get 5 minutes with him. I worked hard on a project for 6 months. What are the words I'm going to choose to showcase my 6 months of effort? What am I going to tell him in 5 minutes? How many people I interviewed? What are the top findings? What do you think is missing in our product? What do you think needs to be built? So these things, you need communication tools to express. You can't say random things. Hey, dude, I did this. This is what happened. That's what I went. No. You have 5 minutes. Let's say somebody wants to invest $10 million in a business. You're standing with them in an elevator, and this guy's got $10 million. You've got less than a minute there in the elevator with this person. You better have some culture tools in your head which you use all the time. What do you tell somebody when you meet them for the first time? The culture tool says, hello, how do you do? This is so and so, and how about yourself? This is a protocol we have. It's ingrained in us. It's in our genes. So this is how humans communicate. Like that, if you're talking to an investor, what is that tool you want to have ingrained? So use these tools all the time. Don't do it. Use it for the first time on the day of grand finale when you're meeting the person who's going to change your life. He's going to fund your project. Do it all the time, everywhere. And another thing, if you talk to I've been talking to investors like for 5 years now, and what they say is they do 10 to 15 experiments anytime. They're doing experiments all the time. Out of them, 3 or 4 are like home runs. They're like sixers. Out of 10 or 15 experiments, they're failing all the time. You look at Oprah Winfrey, she says 70% of the time I'm failing. I write $300,000 checks every day, but nobody's seeing me when I'm failing. You only see me when I write the check when I'm successful. So you're always experiment with these tools all the time. These tools, it's for a startup idea. Use it when you buy a home. Use it when you move to a new city. Use it when you are innovating for welcome, ma'am. Glad to have you here. We have okay. We have a very senior Silicon Valley veteran here, so I just wanted to welcome her. Okay, so use these tools when you in your daily life. So then innovation becomes part of your culture. So I was interviewing a senior Silicon Valley investor, and we did this podcast together. He said innovation is a lifestyle. Innovation is a lifestyle because innovation is something which pushes you to the next level. It enlightens the mass audience to the next level. If you look last week, Elon Musk talks about Neuralink. These are all experiments he's doing. He's probably the third or fourth richest person on the planet today, but the last decade or so, he's been through lots of failed experiments. And if you look how he goes about experimenting, how SpaceX, was able to build something super competitive. They were competing with NASA as well. What they did was they did something using first principles. Again, we talk about how to use first principles analysis in the solution book. So what he essentially did was, like a first grader who does not know anything, he went and read books on how to build spaceships, rocket ships, and what NASA was doing, how much each component costed. It's very similar to what Harish did at, in Hubli, what he was doing, very similar to what Shashi is doing here in Portland, Oregon, and very similar to what these kids are doing here in Nashik and Pune. We are teaching them skills to do due diligence by first principles. You don't know anything. I mean, you're competing with 10 different startups, but you talk like you don't know anything. I don't know this. Let me go by first principles. So this is how you assess the price of each component. Every single time you know your competitor pays $100 for this, but still you do it your way. So maybe you'll come up with a $5 deal for that component. Who knows? That's how SpaceX did that. Now Elon Musk is doing the same thing with Neuralink. It's not like brain transplants have not happened, chips have not been inserted. I'm a neuroscientist myself. I worked in this lab where we implanted chips in rat brains. We did cortical stimulation, we did deep brain stimulation. It's not new, it's a very old technology, but he's doing it first principles. Nobody ever thought a wireless interface. He's doing it like a child with a lot of humility. When you say a lot of humility, means it comes with a lot of homework. So this is what we teach. First principles thinking is very popular in NASA. Some templates which NASA uses are also included in this. It's called Pentachart. And there is also another tool which is called second order thinking. Now, when I did this podcast with Srinivas Rao, he said, he's a Silicon Valley investor. He said, in India during COVID times, food supply is not thought out very well. This is what you could do. These are the people who can drive the supply chain. Nobody is doing it. So when innovation becomes a part of your lifestyle, you become super comfortable with experimenting in your daily life, in your daily workflows with innovation. Once that happens, out of experiments, 3 experiments will be home run. 3 experiments, in Indian cricket language, called their sixers. You score on them. So this is general 80-20 rule. Most entrepreneurs, investors know this. But still, I like to reiterate. So I think I'm pretty much done with the demonstration here today. I would love to take your questions. These are some of the things you guys should know. If you're in the innovation landscape, just know these things. Hooked is a great product because today our theme was customer discovery. We're talking about succeeding with customers, reversing startup failures. 9 out of 10 startups are failing. We want to reverse that. This is our mission. And we do it when we're in high school. We don't do it when we are 50 years old. We have all the money and we have all the facilities. We don't fail then. We fail early on. We do experiments all the time. So these are some books you need to know. Just know the Steve Blank's language of communication about startup landscape. He's pretty influential in the lean methodology. Everybody uses lean stacks today. They use lean business model, lean business canvas. So just know his literature pretty well. And anything to do with customer development or customer success, like Hooked is a good book. There's another book for all you folks who like leadership and team building. It's called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Please read that book. It'll tell you, it'll show you a mirror. If you're making mistake as a team player, if you're not being a good team player, or if you're in the leadership position where you have to deal with really difficult people. This is actually a high school teacher. She becomes a CEO, and she turns around a large corporation. So this is a good inspiration for women. We think we stayed at home, we took care of kids, we're not ready to go take on the world. So this book will totally turn their mind. She goes and fixes all these really headstrong people who are having trouble rolling out their startup. So read this book. It's called The 5 Dysfunction of a Team. This was recommended to me by a lot of mentors back in India. There are a lot of books by Tata, Tata Consultancy Services. They have released many books. Please read that. Story of Ambani's. There are many books listed in that genre. Please read. If you're based in India, then those innovators are close to your local ecosystem. So see what are their best practices. So, in reading any book, you don't have to read cover to cover. Just get the top insights, because every book will have at least 1 or 2 takeaways which can change your life. So get those insights, make them a part of your life, because a book is wasted if it's not a part of your life. So this book has 101 templates, all for high school level maturity. We don't want too much complicated business school jargon, even though all this literature comes from Harvard Business School, Stanford University, Yale University. We literally filtered it out because government platforms are using this. This is all tried and tested, very successful books. We want to teach them to children. We simplified everything. So with that, I'd like to conclude my presentation, and if anybody has any questions, please reach out to me. And I'm reachable on LinkedIn and Facebook.